Hi everyone. Today we're going to be going over some HP 450G3 laptops, focusing on one in particular, kind of going through the process of updating and restoring it, erasing, reinstalling a new operating system and that, and kind of what's encompassed in there, the time it takes, different things you may run into. The ones on the right here have not been done. You can see they're kind of nasty. That's why they are sitting on that to keep our work area clean. This one is our completed one. Yeah, one thing I will say about this video, I am still learning. So excuse the sideways images and the wiggly video and all that, please, because it'll improve. I just have to get used to tripods and when to use them and when not to. So I ask for your consideration in this, and as I said, I hope this is helpful to you. See what's in them, test their condition, and decide if these are worthwhile to do a renovation on, refurbish, upgrade. A lot will depend on the components that are actually functioning. Is the keyboard working? Is the monitor working properly? Mouse pad, trackpad, buttons, all that stuff. First thing you want to do is you want to start and you want to clean this thing really good with some alcohol. Minimum of 70%. I use 90% to make sure, you get rid of the germs and just the basic grime off of these things to work on them. If you're not going to keep them, then you can use gloves, but otherwise I would highly suggest that you're, using some antiseptic. And the other advantage of the alcohol is it does clean off the laptop and gives you one step closer to having them ready to go. So you'll also notice that I have a towel underneath it on the table because I have not cleaned the bottom, and it's the same kind of thing, it's a contamination thing. Try to keep the work area as clean as possible. So we'll just give this a nice quick wipe down. We're not looking for perfection here. We're just looking to get rid of as many of the germs and the basic stuff off of here as we can. The top was done. You can see that. It's just, like I said, not looking to get every little bit of stuff off of these things, but we do want to clean them up to the point of where they're not totally disgusting and toxic to work on, right? Okay, so now we are ready to go on this. So now we got to find a power supply, find the right size. This is the smaller port, the 4.5 millimeter. So we will find that and get it plugged in and be right back. So now we've had a chance to go basic things. Go into BIOS, check out the keyboard, look at our palm rest, see the condition of it, look for dead pixels, overly bright spots, or burned out pixels, and all of them look good. So we've erased the drive. It has an adequate drive, a 256 SSD, which is just fine for this computer, and 8 gigs of RAM, which we will upgrade to 16 gigs of RAM because we're going to resell this guy. So now I'm going to go ahead and get started with, I've got my USB in there, and I'm going to install the new OS on this guy. So just a minute to get that going. And this will be custom. We're not going to install it over another system and just get it going. And we'll be back. Okay, so we've installed the new operating system, and you can see it's very busy downloading the updates. What we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to eject our USB installer now. And you'll see it's disappeared. Doesn't always give the message that it's safe to remove it, but generally once it's disappeared, I assume it is. So while it's doing that, we are going to go in and now we are going to add our antivirus, so we can go in and any drivers that are missing, we'll install and get it ready to go. Be right back. Okay, so we're going to finish this up now. This is still that HP 450G3. So far, I've got an hour into this. And like I'm always saying, you got to figure that into your calculations. This laptop may be worth 70 or 80 bucks. I don't really see it being worth much more. There's quite a few of them out there. That's if you want to move it quickly. So I am going to replace the battery again. This will be the third battery that I've tried in this. This one's new, so let's hope this one works. And otherwise, we're done. So for me, typically it takes about 20 minutes to fully load a laptop and get it ready to go. This one being at an hour because of driver issues and just getting them all loaded and things like the battery and cleaning and this is the evaluation you have to make, whether or not this is worthwhile to do. I probably won't do any more of these just because if they're this difficult and does take this much time. And I mostly did this as an example to show you that you can really get into some time on some of these with different issues, compatibilities with drivers, and whether they'll load the drivers, because originally I had Windows 8. I put Windows 11 on it, but you would run into the same thing a lot of times with Windows 10. So let's see what happens. Now we'll let it power up and charge and see what's going on. See if this battery works, because it may be that this laptop won't charge a battery, which is, obviously that's a big problem. Okay, so now we've powered it back up without the battery. We did the reset. Let's see if it works. Just going to shut it back off, put the battery back in, and see if it works. And I've got another battery we can try as well. Now, once again, you got to do the evaluation on this. If you have to replace the battery, you're looking at 15 bucks minimum, right? And there is always the risk that on some of these older laptops that these things won't charge the battery anymore. For whatever reason, this has happened to me a bunch of times. I had a bunch of Dells that half would, half wouldn't, and no matter how many times I tried to reset them, some of them just would not. So ordering new batteries for them, you get stuck with a bunch of new batteries. So it's something to keep in mind. So let's try putting the battery back in and see if it'll charge it. Okay, this is battery number 4, and you can see it's not charging at all. Now, granted, 3 of these batteries are older, and even the new battery was purchased well over a year ago. So that may be one of the issues. So, or several. At any rate, I've got probably 2 more of these laptops, and I'll try swapping out the drive or see if they've got similar problems. What's kind of a bummer is that this one's actually, as you can see here, it's in pretty good shape. It's cosmetically. So, at any rate, the top isn't great, but not terrible either. So, anyways, we'll see what we can do. See if we can switch over. I'm not going to put a lot more time into this. Like I said, look in your area for a place that you can recycle computers. And I'm not talking about the municipal drop it off for free places. If you shop around a little bit, we're in Southern California, and the Santa Ana area by us, Anaheim, they pay for this stuff. They'll pay you something. It's not great. Depends on the condition and what it is and that kind of thing. A lot of times, if it's purely a scrap, it's by the pound. A lot of times, laptops are by the piece. So look around, see what you can find. Yeah, the municipal ones are usually like you drop it off and you're giving it to them. But it's a place where they will recycle it. However, you won't get paid for it. So we will get back with you once I get going on the next one. Thanks. Okay, now we've switched battery number 5, which did charge in another one of these same 450G3 laptops, into this laptop. So let's see if it'll start up. Okay, so we've got this going. Let's see what we have in the way of battery charge, because it was on the other one for quite a while. 98%. Okay, so now we know it'll run off of a battery. Whether it will charge off of a battery is another story. So we will now connect the charger and see if that actually works. Give me a minute. All right, it shows it as charging. You can see the little icon there, but since it's so full already, a lot of times it won't charge actually past that. It'll charge up to that. So we'll just have to watch it give it a few minutes and see if it goes up a little bit. Okay, you can see that the battery health itself looks like it's not bad. It's at 3 hours and 36 minutes. I do have a application and we can check that and see what the true health is, but it's remaining at 97% and I'm putting a little load on it and it's not going down very fast, which is usually a good indicator. Be right back. Okay, so you can see that we have a custom USB drive that has a few test apps on it that we use all the time. We'll be making these available soon. In the meantime, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to check the battery health and see what it tells us. So it says it's over 100%, which that's hard to believe. Power state's 96%. That's correct. But I would say that that's a pretty good battery right there. This is an aftermarket. It's not an HP original battery that came with these, because that'd be pretty old. But at any rate, it seems to be holding a charge. And let's see where we're at now, 96%. So we're going to plug it back in and we're going to see if it will charge it beyond the 96%. So be right back. Okay, so we ran the battery down to 93% because, like I said, it was just, basically maxed out where it was. And you'll see that it's come from 93 to 94 now. So it is charging the battery, which is a good sign. Although most of the time when they're charging, this will turn red, not white. But it does show that it's charging. So I think we've got success with there. Also, the battery charge time dropped from 3 hours to 1 hour and 40 something minutes, which is more realistic. When it showed 3 hours, these are not particularly big batteries. Especially aftermarket batteries, you're looking at usually about an hour and a half charge time, run time on the battery, maybe a couple hours. Depends on the battery size. Anyways, so overall, when we look at this, we look at the time spent in, we look at the efforts we had to make. Now, I will say that those batteries that I used earlier, that I said were new old stock. So they'd been sitting in storage for a while before we used them. So, you take that with a grain of salt, but you'd have to buy a battery. You'd have to do much like if you're fixing this for yourself or a friend or a family member, that's entirely different. But if you're doing it for resale, all these things matter. And you're looking at, typically $20 to ship them. Minimally, unless you sell them locally in Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or something like that, which will work. I mean, Craigslist is a good place if you deal with sane buyers. It's okay. So anyways, we're going to conclude there, and so we've gone through this. Overall, like I said, this had the components that it needed other than the battery, which we did pull from another one. We're not going to go on to any more of these today, but move on to another type device. And hopefully this gives you some insight into doing something that's a little bit older. It's not really old, but it's old enough. It's had some wear and tear. And I will say the Windows 10 would probably be a little bit simpler. I said you would run in similar issues with drivers, but maybe not as much. This one was a little bit problematic and took an extra at least 20 minutes for the drivers to all get loaded. So At any rate, hope this was helpful and would love to see you on the next one. Thanks.